Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Allie, and my family of four and I are working on paying off our $86,000 of debt. We have turned it into the paper chains that you see behind me. Each link equals $100, and for every $100 that we pay down our total, then we will cut a link off of the chain. We've paid down debt aggressively in the past, but since we never had very much saved, all emergencies went right back into debt. So this time around, we're doing it right, we're doing it slow, and we're going to be saving one full month of expenses as our buffer emergency fund, which for our family is $6,700. So I thought it might be fun to start doing these monthly reviews of our spending. I use the budgeting app called YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget, and it's not really a budgeting app like in the traditional sense. It's more of a digital cash envelope system. So all of your money stays in your bank account, but your app organizes your dollars into the different envelopes that you want to spend from. So what you guys are seeing every single week is me stuffing the envelopes, but I feel like we're kind of missing that second half, which is the spending, because it does turn out to be a little bit different than what I'm doing in my weekly budget with me's. And if you've been struggling to stick to your budget and you feel like it just doesn't work for you and you're just not a budgeter, I really encourage you to track your spending. If you feel like budgets don't work for you, I would assume you've probably not been tracking your spending. And yes, even the $5 coffee run or all of the little subscriptions, those all need to be written down because those are the little things that will ruin your budget and end up with overspending later when you don't have enough money to cover something important. If you want to try YNAB for free, I do have a link in the description box and you can try it, and if you like it, you'll get a free month and I would get a free month, or just any sort of tracking app. My brother uses one that he puts everything in manually. It has the totals that he wants to spend, and every time he's at the cash register, he puts in the transaction. And it's so simple and manual, but that is how he keeps track of his spending. It doesn't have to be complicated for it to work. In fact, it's probably a better idea if you keep it as simple as possible so that you'll be able to stick to it even on the days when you don't have a ton of energy. Now, in our case, I was an avid budgeter for the last 10 years at least. I would make a paper budget every single month. I would allocate each bill to each paycheck, and I had that part down. The thing that was missing for me was tracking our spending. I would make the budget, but then when we were out and about, when we were at the store or at a restaurant, I couldn't look at my paper budget because it was at home and see exactly how much I had left for each category. So that's why YNAB is so revolutionary for me, because I can see what we've spent out of each envelope, and that helps me make better decisions in real time and gives me information about how much is left in each envelope, or if I do have to overspend for a certain category, where I can pull that money from and find the money first. All right, so let's go into YNAB. It has a really cool feature where you can reflect on your last month of spending, and I haven't really used it very much, so I'm kind of excited to add this into my routine, review my spending, see if there's any changes I can make, and make a better plan going forward. So these are all of my envelopes here. I have them all labeled. I have various amounts in here. As you see, we're going to have some overspending to deal with probably on Friday if I can't move things around before then. But that's the thing too. I do find a lot of the money before I spend it, and I will move stuff around before I make a purchase. And that's the stuff that you guys don't really see during the week. So I think doing this review is going to be kind of interesting to see how I stuff my envelopes versus how I actually end up spending. So I think you go to this little tab on the side here, and this should give us our spending breakdown. So here's everything that I spent in the month of March, which is really cool to see it broken down. And I love that it's even color-coded. That just makes my brain happy. So this time, let's start at the very top with our most expensive bills and just work our way down. So first is the mortgage, and that is not surprising at all. That's our biggest bill at $1,517, and that is 16% of our take-home pay, which I feel like is pretty good. We did get extremely lucky, and we happened to buy a house in November of 2020. Our interest rate is probably low enough where you would get mad if I told you. But I'm really happy here, and we did find a really cute little house for a good price. So I'm very grateful for that we got this locked in before everything started going up. But even so, that is our biggest bill. And then next is daycare, and that is a very close second, and it's 14% of our income. Childcare is definitely the most expensive part of having kids. You either have to put your career on hold, or someone has to put their career on hold to watch them for you, or you're paying for daycare. And honestly, it should be more than this because our provider works so hard, and I could never do all the things that she does for them. But it doesn't mean that it's not also really expensive for us. So we pay our daycare bill every single Monday, and there were 5 Mondays in the month of March, and that's why this is a little bit higher. Normally it's 1100 something, but we pay $275 a week for that. I will say this will actually be going down next month. This is the last month that we have to pay this really high bill. Once he turns 2 in May, this will go down $140 per month. So that will be huge in giving us a little bit extra breathing room every month and making this a little more manageable. Next is groceries. So that is 13% of our income, and we spent $1,236. Now, March also had 5 Sundays, and we go shopping every Sunday for 1 week's worth of food. Normally I have $225 budgeted per week. So hypothetically, if we were always within our grocery budget, we would only be paying $1,125. So we did go over in this category by $111, which does make sense. We did have a couple extra shopping trips, which we normally don't do because we had some meat go bad and stuff this month, which was kind of weird. I definitely think $225 per week is doable for our family. So I want to try and maybe make some cheaper meals and stick to our list a little bit better to keep this under budget and not let this get out of control. And then this one won't surprise anybody if you've been watching my previous videos. This is our car maintenance fund. And let's see, we spent $1,078.90 on our van this month. So that was the cost of an oil change, and then they did our brakes, and we also needed our master cylinders replaced because they went bad on us. So that's why the month of March completely depleted our car maintenance fund because we only had $1,000 in there. And then next we have gas, and we spent $501.55, which actually does surprise me a little bit. We normally put $115 in our gas category each week. So hypothetically, if we're staying underneath that budget, we would only be paying $460 per month. So we did go over by about 40, but honestly, with the way that the gas prices rose this month, that's actually not too bad. So now that I think about it, I'm actually happy with that. I think we're staying as good as we can. So our next highest category is restaurant, and we spent $336 here, which I'm kind of surprised because I feel like we haven't been eating out that much. We did get Chinese food just a couple days ago, and we also got some deli food from our local grocery store. Oh, yeah. Honestly, this was a day of the bowling tournament. This actually is a little bit higher because I used this DoorDash app to go and pick up some food. They didn't actually deliver it to us, but a lot of this was for my sister. So she ended up paying me back $20 from here. So it's not quite so high, but yeah, I mean, it sucks when you look through your spending and you're like, oh, I did do all of that. I always feel like we don't do too much eating out. Usually it's only about once per week, but I think with all of these little extra trips, like we have like $5 here and $8 here and $10 here, I think that's kind of what added up this month. So we really need to watch that for next month because this is another category that can just get crazy. I don't want to just be eating my money, you know? All right, next is the HELOC payment, and that's just $300. That's the minimum for that. That's what that will always be. And then our credit card for our bank, that was $291. So that's our next highest bill. It makes sense because those are our two largest debts, so they would have the highest payment. And then utilities. Oh my gosh. I am really ready for warmer weather when we're not paying utilities that are this high. This bill, this CP Energy bill, was $240. In the summer, this gets down to like $30. So we are really going to have a lot of extra money after this starts going down and we're not paying for our expensive baseboard heating. That is one complaint about my house. It's 120 years old. and it's just really drafty. Our windows are terrible. I have towels on the top of them because they're so old that air gets in, and you have to run the heat a lot more to keep the house at a comfortable temperature. And we have the baseboard heating, which I feel like takes a lot of energy. So hopefully this is the last month that we'll see these really high bills, and these will start going down and we'll get some extra money in our budget again from that. I think our utility bill in the summer is about $250 to $260, so this one won't go down a lot, mostly because we've got the electric heaters running right now, and then in the summer we kind of just have to switch to the electric AC units, the window units. So this will maybe go down by $30, but it's really this gas bill that is killing us. Oh, our phone bill was also much higher than normal. This month we spent $195 because we had an extra $70 on our phone bill since we got my son an Apple Watch. So we had fees and activation fees and all of those things in our phone bill this month, and that's why this is about $70 higher than it normally is. So that too will also go back down to normal next month. So then we spent $191 at Costco. And that is because I just went today, actually, and I had to buy some major items. I had to buy toilet paper, paper towels, trash bags, and a bag of rice, which we use a lot of. And then I also got my husband's birthday cake from there. So it was a little more of an expensive trip that I hadn't been planning on, but we were almost completely out of toilet paper and rice today, so I really just had to go in, and I did not buy anything extra, but buying in bulk does cost you in the beginning. We used to go a lot more often, but when we started going to Aldi, we found that their prices were just as good or sometimes better than Costco. So we don't go nearly as much as we used to, just for a few select items that Costco specifically carries. So now that we went today, I probably won't need to go for another 3 months. Now I have this reimbursement category and it says that I spent $178, but that actually was not my money. One of my coworkers, her husband had a very severe stroke this month, and so we all collected money for some flowers and a gift card, and I was the only one in the office that had PayPal and Venmo, so it was my job to collect all of the money and then go to Target and buy that gift card for her. So this is technically on the budget, but I didn't spend all this. So then next we have our personal loan, and that's our loan with our bank, and the payment for that is $165.41. And then we have our car insurance with Geico, that's $151.93, and that's for both of our cars. I also did spend some on gardening this month, which when I look at it, it feels like it's a lot, but considering that I only have like 3 months out of the year that I even spend money on this hobby, I can kind of justify it that way. I did end up returning this soil that I had bought. I ended up not needing it, so just subtract this $26 off of there, but I did buy something from Amazon, and then I bought all of my seeds from our grocery store. And then next is Ben's portion of the Reef store spending money for him, and this was the cost of the camera. I am really hoping that it doesn't freeze on me. I keep checking on it this time. I think it's because my computer just hadn't been restarted in a little while, because I restarted it and everything seems to be working fine. So hopefully now I can use my camera and my quality will be much better. Ben spent $116 on vaping and the juice and all of the things he needs for that. And he spent $103 on his medicine, which means that we're just perfect with that $25 per week. And then for my Apple Card, this is my smallest debt, so this will be the first one on the debt snowball that I do. I think the minimum is $45, but I ended up doing a little bit extra this time. I used my card to pay for something for $40. I can't remember what it was. I think for therapy. Therapy comes out of this card, so I paid that, and then I ended up putting a little bit extra towards the minimum and then the actual payment for $60. And then we have our internet, and that is for $89.57. And my spending money, this was for my friend's baby shower, for her gift, and for the dinner that we did for her, which ended up being so much fun. I don't normally do hibachi, so that was really a good time. And then on drinks, we spent $82.27. So again, I feel really good about that. We're keeping it minimum, and we are sticking to our $20 a week budget. And then next is our home warranty, and that's for $81.99. And it's served us so well in the past, so we're going to continue paying for this at least until we can build up maybe a larger home maintenance fund, and then I might consider dropping this, but for now it's been well worth it. And then in my stuff I forgot to plan for category, I have $77, but I don't actually know what I paid for $77. I'll have to look back at my notes and see if I can remember. Obviously, I think I need to put some better notes if I plan anything for this category, because obviously I forgot to plan for it. So, and then this month we paid our trash bill, which is $54.72, and we only have to pay this every 3 months. So this is one of those months, and the next one will be in June. And this $54.47, this is a combination of Isaac's Easter outfit and also all of their Easter basket supplies. And then next we have $52.24, and that's for our coffee delivery. We're just on a subscription from Amazon to have that delivered every 2 weeks, and that's been working out great. And then let's see, $51.48 on the kids. Oh, right, I had to buy diapers, and then I think I had to buy pants. This is my oldest son's pants. I should probably actually move this to the kids' clothing category, because I did want to keep track of how much I'm spending on their clothing, so I might move that later, but spent $24.67 on that. And then next we have our reef shipping supplies. So if you're new, my husband had bought someone out of the reef keeping hobby, and we got a ton of items, and a lot of those items that we got were actually in great condition and worth a lot of money, and so we've started selling them on eBay. But a lot of it is also very fragile. There's very expensive pumps and aquarium lights that are very fragile and breakable. So we had to buy some brown paper and some bubble wrap to make sure that those things got to their destination safely, and then we could get paid for them. We did spend $45.82, but we absolutely made that money back, so we're still ahead. And then let's see, $45.21 on our shopping needs. Of course, it's all from Amazon. I think what I need to do is go in and make better notes on what I bought from Amazon, so then I can just keep better track for myself. Overall, though, I really don't buy a lot of things. If we do need something, I try to think about it, do some research, make sure I'm getting the best one. And I don't do a lot of frivolous shopping. So I do feel like we're pretty good about that. So next is our Amazon Prime membership. The actual membership is $16.25, and then I think there was storage or a movie or something like that was $10.83. But normally Amazon Prime membership is $16.25. And then for YouTube, we pay for the premium, that's $24.90. That's basically our main streaming service other than Netflix. So that's a subscription that I'm okay with paying a little bit more for. And my bank automatically deducts $20 into an emergency fund, so I have that came out. Netflix came out for $19.32. Ben spent a little bit of his personal spending money for the Discord app, so that was $18.39. And then we had some additional Apple charges, I think for storage and a couple of other things. That was for $15.39. Our VPN is $13.99 per month, and our Microsoft Xbox Live subscription is $10.82. And then this month I paid $10.49 for the YNAB subscription, because I switched from my subscription going through Apple to just being on my card so that I could actually post a referral link. So that's why that was a little bit less this month. But yeah, overall, honestly, not too bad. I definitely don't want to pay this much for car maintenance every month. That was definitely kind of painful. I think we can definitely watch our restaurant budget and make sure that stays under. And I'm really hoping that our next couple of energy bills are a lot lower. But otherwise, I actually feel pretty good about where we're spending. And I think we're really going to see more progress as the next month happens and our bills decrease. Because right now we're just sort of treading water. But honestly, I'm actually fine with that, because this car maintenance would have taken us out. We would be $1,000 more in debt if this had happened to us a year ago. So the fact that we're going into the next month, still haven't used any new debt, and we handled something that was fairly expensive, I still call this a successful month. And even though it is frustrating to kind of still feel stuck at zero, I think it's a sign that this is actually working and we're doing the right thing. We're on the right track. So, yeah, that was our spending for the month of March. Even if we're not getting out of debt, these are just fun to watch because I just find it so interesting to see how different families are spending their money. So, now we're going to move on to April, and hopefully, I'll see you this Friday for my next budget with me. Thanks. Bye.